Hello, everybody. Welcome to Thoughts from the Round Table. I'm Pierce,
And I'm Jacob.
and today we're diving into a lesser-known movie. You might not have heard of this one. Indiana Jones, Raiders of the Lost Ark. Lost? I think it's
Lost.
Yeah.
I must say that I haven't seen this movie for a while, but boy, am I glad I watched it again.
It is. If you haven't seen this movie in a while, you should give it a rewatch because it'll surprise you.
It's definitely worth a rewatch.
And with that, everyone, please join us at the round table.
So I think one of the most important things to talk about when viewing an old movie, before we give a plot synopsis, or try to, which is what we always try to do and always fail. But I think what we should do is decide before we talk about it whether we think it's aged well or not, and then once we're done talking about it, we ask ourselves the same question. So for me, before you give your argument, pro or against, I would like to say, against all odds, this movie is aged well.
I'm going to be completely honest with you. I don't think this movie is aged well.
Well, we'll see if we change each other's minds at the end of this.
I hope you do.
Yeah.
Because I love this movie. Don't get me wrong. I think this movie is fantastic. I think that's entirely nostalgia based. I really enjoy myself watching this movie and really all the Indiana Jones. Even the fourth one, which some people kind of are very against. I still like it because it's Harrison Ford being grumpy old Harrison Ford. But I just think there's like kind of certain things when you're talking about a movie, like when you say specifically aged well, that this movie has not done.
Yeah. We'll go ahead and just start with the plot. Obviously, it starts out one of the greatest intros to any movie ever. You know, it has some of the most iconic scenes in the movie within 10 minutes. Obviously, he's trying to steal the gold idol thing, and he runs away from the ball, and he uses his whip a lot. It's hilarious.
The whip is really funny in this movie.
It's a Swiss Army knife.
It really is.
It does it all.
It's like the Omnitrix on Ben 10, but like way more powerful.
Yeah, and it's, even better because it's used by Harrison Ford.
Exactly. This is off topic and impressive how it's not even 2 minutes into the podcast and we're already off topic.
I think that's probably fair.
Who better to play an old Ben 10 than Harrison Ford? Like young Harrison Ford.
What the heck?
What do you mean, what the heck? That is such a good character. I guess, actually, you know what? Now I'm thinking about it, probably not. But, like, as, like, a personal fantasy, please.
Yeah, keep that in your bedroom. Yeah, the whip is cool.
The whip is cool.
It's my favorite character.
I think one of the most underrated scenes is also in this first, like, opening act, and a scene that not enough people talk about. So Indiana Jones is running from a group of natives. Let me tell you, this movie portrays like culture wonderfully. That's a lie. Got a little iffy portrayals here, but they were chasing him through like a forest. I guess I don't know where they are.
They went through like 2 forests and 2 plains.
They said South America, which is a vast continent. That's just like saying like North America. Where? But so he's like running and his friend has a plane and his friend is like sitting off the front of the plane, and if you're seeing like the video podcast, I'm just out here, he's fishing with just a stick and a string. He's got something.
He's got an old cane pole.
He's pulling it up. He's like, he's not reeling it in because he can't reel it in. I don't know how he expects to land this fish. But Indiana Jones is like, start the plane! And he runs and he jumps in the plane. And this guy is like I guess you'd call him like a stereotypical American boy. He hits like all the standards. He's got the Yankee with brim on. He's got a New York accent. He's everything America should be, and he's flying Indiana Jones out. Indiana Jones jumps in the front seat of the plane, and then there's just a snake on his boots, and he's like, there's a snake in here. And the guy looked at him and he's like, don't worry about him, Indy. That's just my pet snake, Reggie.
It never revisits that point either.
No, Reggie never reappears.
My favorite scene.
It's gotta be, right?
It's literally right up our alley of random and stupid.
Yeah, I think that might have been the scene where I fell out of my chair because I wasn't prepared. I even told Jacob beforehand, I was like, there's a scene in the front of the movie that just cracks me up. But I couldn't prep myself. I lost it. Great. Probably the most iconic scene in the movie.
Without a doubt. Well, I don't know if iconic. It might be the best scene, but maybe not the most iconic. Speaking of iconic scenes, this just has a ton of them. You know, when Indy goes to his next place, and obviously a big part of this movie is fight scenes.
75%, probably.
Yeah, and the fight scene in Nepal could use a little work. If you did that in 2020, it would be like, this is a home movie that should have never been given money.
Yeah. Whose choice was it not to add music?
I don't know. John Williams probably wrote a killer score for that scene. And Steven Spielberg was like, no, I got this.
It's like the scene in Rise of Skywalker where Rey and Kylo are just fighting out on like the Death Star ruins. And you're thinking to yourself, wow, this would be really cool if they added music. But it just feels really awkward.
It's just a wasted scene. Because, okay, first of all, I'm speaking right out of my butt. So I'm sorry if I offend anyone by saying this, but this scene, even without music, is better than that scene without music. Because at least this scene, you got a little bit of emotion in it.
Yeah, true.
Like Indiana Jones obviously steals the show. Heat check from Han Solo. Harrison Ford is great in everything, and this is no different. But just like, I don't know, the physicality is like goofy enough for the 1980s. So like, it still works.
Yeah, I really appreciate the fight scenes in this movie because they're just so absurd. And this is going to be a staple for all of you who don't know, because I don't think we mentioned it. We're going to do like a rewatch series. This is going to be like first episode. We're going to cover the Indiana Jones movies like now versus when we saw them as a kid. And that's kind of going to be our thing. But something that stuck out to me as a kid and now as an older kid, I suppose, would would be like how goofy and stupid the fights are. Where like it's so obviously acted. Like you get all the movies today that just like feel real and gritty and like they're punching you in the face and you can almost feel it. And then you get like this one where they're just kind of like obviously missing faces and just swing and a miss, and then the person will react a little bit late and just fly backwards. And there's something really charming about it.
Yeah, I think that whole fight scene, just any fight scene you can look at, they take a perfect amount of comedy. I think they tried to put comedy in the fight scenes too.
I think it worked.
Yeah, it's like in Thor Ragnarok.
Mm-hmm.
It worked. They put comedy into action, and it made sense. I think Indiana Jones is legitimately no different. Sure, Thor Ragnarok might have looked a few bits better, but like, for example, the scene with Indy and the guy with the sword. The guy's waving around his sword, and then Indiana Jones just pulls out a gun and shoots him. That's hilarious.
Great scene.
That's hilarious.
I think we've got a little off topic on the plot, but
not too bad yet.
What do you guys expect? Where did we actually leave off?
Talking about the Nepal fight scene.
Okay, so Nepal fight scene. I think we do need to introduce. We are introduced to like the main kind of point of the movie, and it's like this medallion that when you put it on a stick at a certain amount of height, it will shoot a laser beam, revealing the secret location of the Ark of the Covenant, and that's kind of like the point he's trying to get it from. What is she like an ex-lover?
Yeah,
I think that's what is implied.
Yeah,
and he's trying to get it from her, and then They do some really bad 1980s flirting.
Beautiful.
It is beautiful. I think, like, I don't know, I'm a sucker for that kind of old flirting crap.
I'm a sucker for anything Harrison Ford does because he's just like this. You know, like Han Solo and Indiana Jones might as well be the same character.
It's just Harrison Ford.
Yeah.
Have you seen like any of the interviews with like Mark Hamill talking about working with Harrison Ford on set? It's so funny. Like he's not playing a character. He's like reading his lines. Oh, but I'm a real sucker for like 1980s flirting where it's like kind of laced with a little bit of misogyny, just a dash, and it just makes it so much better. That's gonna be taken out of context one day. I need to add this context.
Cancel Pierce.
No, don't
cancel Pierce.
Don't cancel Pierce. I'm not saying this movie's definitely a tad sexist. Not as sexist as our next movie. But but it's definitely there. And I'm not saying that that's good. Respect women, you know, the whole meme. I shouldn't have called that a meme. Wow, I'm really getting canceled.
You know what? We should make a game like if we ever make it, right?
Yeah.
If people start recognizing us in public, that's when we know we'll make it.
Mhm.
We should make like a bingo marker of all the horrible things we've said. And when people call us out for it, we put a dab on there. And whoever gets bingo first wins.
I think that's a really good idea.
That's a top 5 idea I've ever had in my entire life.
So you can just put on my bingo card right now.
Oh, you know that
flirting with misogyny.
And women, that meme.
I think people are kind of getting where I'm going with this. Maybe. But it's charming. I shouldn't say charming. It's funny.
And here's a third.
It's funny to see like how different society was back then versus now. If you kind of take it out and you just laugh at it, I think it adds a lot. Like you couldn't do it now.
No, there are lots of things in this movie you could not do now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, some of the portrayal. Pierce kind of mentioned it, the portrayals of natives, the portrayals of Middle Easterns in the next scenes that we get are
Yikes.
Not great.
Yikes. It's like they like found out every racist thing they could about someone. Like they profiled them solely on the race. Like if you notice like the black sea captain, I'm just gonna whisper this one, looks surprisingly similar to a monkey. Got the big ears. Looks like a caricature. Yeah. I'm not saying like that's
they definitely meant to do that.
They did. They made him. They dressed him like that. Like the over the top Middle Eastern guy who always sang songs.
Yes.
Yikes.
All of the Middle Easterns apparently sell fruit. Like every single one.
And they don't fight with normal weapons. They fight with ceremonial long swords. Like who was in charge of this movie?
Steven Spielberg and George Lucas. The misogyny is George Lucas's fault.
Yeah.
That's that.
That's a staple of Lucas.
Yeah. But the racism kind of comes out of nowhere.
And you don't notice it when you first watch it. Like if you've not seen this movie since you were a kid, you probably are remembering it as like, you know, the fun Indiana Jones movie. There's a lot of racist stuff in this movie.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, and I'm going to sound like a broken record at this point, not as much as Temple of Doom.
I'm so excited for that's when we'll really get canceled.
It's so true. I watched the Temple of Doom, like, for those of you who don't know, I guess no, I say that every time, like, people should just know my personal life.
Yeah, I think you told me, you only told me you watched the first one.
No, I watched all 4 of them, like, probably 2 months ago. When this first started, like this outbreak first started, I wanted to like a feel-good movie because I was kind of sad about my entire life feeling like it was canceled or put on hold. And so I watched all of these and I was flabbergasted at how incredibly sexist and racist the next movie is. I was appalled is what I was about to say. It's funny. Well, it's funny. Please talk. I'm done.
Okay. I gotta gather my thoughts. Pierce is talking about how cool sexism is.
Oh, this is gonna be so misconstrued.
You're never gonna get a shot. Okay.
I feel like I should mention that this podcast is primarily comedy.
Or is
Don't take these opinions as truth.
I don't even know what we were talking about.
Just keep on explaining the movie.
Okay.
We just got to the medallion, and they're leaving Nepal.
Yeah. So they leave Nepal, and one of the greatest transitions, probably ever. The red line with the plane and the map.
True.
It's so iconic. Way more iconic than the cheesy Star Wars iMovie transitions.
Oh, yeah.
These are so good, and I feel like every movie uses this. Every adventure movie.
Indiana Jones paved the way for the adventure genre.
Yeah.
Especially in video games.
George Lucas does not get enough credit for this.
No, George Lucas is a genuine genius. He must have been like on crack or something, LSD, because the stuff he was imagining, out of this world, especially for the time.
Yeah, that's the big thing, because like Star Wars, excuse me, I've got the hiccups. Star Wars, just like this, kind of came out at the same, like they came out in the 70s, and this was just the start of the blockbuster movie. You know, like the first one pretty much was Episode 4. And then this came out in 81, along with Empire Strikes Back. Empire might have came out in 80.
Well, either way, he's winning.
What a 6-year run for Harrison Ford.
Yeah.
You've got 4, 5, 6, and Raiders of the Lost Ark.
When did Blade Runner come out?
Ooh,
because that's like gotta be the same time. He looked the same in that one. And that was a huge hit as well.
I feel like Harrison Ford has gone through 2 aging stages. Young Harrison Ford and old Harrison Ford. There's no awkward phase.
What happened in that phase? Did he just like go off the map?
I do not know.
Because I literally don't remember a single movie with Harrison Ford in it before. Honestly, this is going to sound bad. Maybe I just haven't paid a lot of attention. But like after young, hot Harrison Ford phase kind of went over, the next thing I really remember him in is 7. And that started old Harrison Ford, and now I see him all the time. Again.
Yeah. So Harrison Ford, or Blade Runner came out in 82.
Gosh, he had a run, dude.
Return of the Jedi came out in 83.
He is on fire. This man is getting a paycheck.
Yeah, really, Harrison Ford kind of showed what he was made of, you know? The man's man. Before this, Pierce and I kind of have a man crush on Harrison Ford.
Who doesn't?
He truly is the man's man. You know, he's in some manly movies like Star Wars and Indiana Jones is really good. He's very handsome. He just seems like a quality guy, too.
Yeah. Emphasis on seems.
I think that's why people like him, though.
Yeah.
Because he is kind of like a guy that we all know.
True. He is. You feel like you know Harrison Ford. You know the type.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think it's just because he plays the same character over and over again.
True.
And everyone's like, oh, I love it.
Give me more.
Yeah.
Have you seen Buck?
No.
I kind of want to. I'm interested.
What's it?
It's with old Harrison Ford. It's the one with the dog.
Oh, yeah. I do want to see that.
It looks kind of good. The dog CGI, horrible. Horrible. It's like taking, you know, the animated movie The Bug's Life? It's like taking an ant from The Bug's Life and putting it with fur. That's what it reminds me of.
I like it.
But to continue the plot, because, gosh, that's got to be like our podcast meme. It's like starts plot.
What about just to continue the plot? ... We can make some merch with it.
Okay, so to continue the plot, like I said, they get the thing. They fly. There's the wipe transition. It's great. It's fantastic. They're now in Egypt. Um, I don't think we've actually explained what he's looking for yet. He's looking for the Ark of the Covenant, and I think one of the best things this movie does is actually accurately portray both one a possibility for where the Ark went, like a theorized possibility for where the Ark went, and two, it does pay a lot of respect to the actual like mythos of the Ark, which is not something you see later in Indiana Jones movie. Actually, this whole trilogy pays a lot of respect to that. 4 kind of throws that respect like out the window. But so they go to Egypt and shenanigans ensue. There's that one awesome scene you talked about where the guy tried to attack him with a sword. There's one scene where, in the movie the animated show What's New Scooby Doo, when you had the opening where it's like, "What's new, Scooby Doo?
Yeah.
We're coming." Yeah, and there's that scene where there's all the doors opening and they're running out. That is literally shot for shot in this movie when these two, I guess, Egyptian dudes in like full turban outfits were carrying a pot over their head with, what's her name? Miriam. She's in the pot and they're carrying her around and running around, and Indy's chasing her.
It's funny.
That's not a good scene.
No. Talk about something that hasn't aged too great. That scene.
This whole like part of the movie is kind of so slow.
They should have worked on their pacing a little more.
Yeah.
That would be my big complaint.
Big pacing issue in this movie.
Yeah. After that, they kind of go on. Indy figures out there's a big Indy figures out there's a big dig spot. And hold on. Indy figured out there's a big dig spot, and he says, "You know what? Let's steal their stuff and go find this hole, put a stick in there, put the thing on top, and it'll show us where." And he's like, "Oh, okay, that'll work." So then he gets on top of a tall hill of sand, sets up a telescope, finds where it was pointing to. Good for the crew. It's 30 feet from the other dig spot. So they're like, "You know what? Let's bring a crew in here, and they won't see."
I think that this movie at this point gets its message kind of muddled, because the whole movie it's trying to be like Indiana Jones, the righteous American hero, sent by God himself to fight Nazis. And they show how Nazis are evil, and they're using the local labor force to mine out this, and all the Nazis are just kind of sitting there eating and drinking water. That's a point in this movie. There's a weird scene where Indiana Jones and his happy singing Egyptian friend are like walking, and one of the Nazis is like, "Get me a water." And Indiana Jones just like looks at him and like shrugs him off. And then like his friend is like, "I'm so sorry, sir. I shall get you water." I don't know why they added that.
No, it wasn't needed at all.
Yeah, but like I was saying, its message is kind of like, Nazis are evil. They're using this local labor force. Indiana Jones, how does he stop it? Acquires his own local labor force and decides to dig his own dig site.
Yeah.
For America.
And then quite possibly the scene, to me, I remember thinking when I was a kid, this is unrealistic and stupid. And even now, I'm like, the whole snake bit. It's an abnormal amount of snakes.
Why does it gotta be snakes?
Yeah, like I get why they did it. The whole meme that he didn't like snakes is just stupid.
How do they eat down there?
Yeah, I talked to Pierce when he asked me that same question. We were watching it. I said, "How do you have to believe more that Indiana Jones happened than Star Wars?"
True, though.
You have to take like some real, like, oh, I guess the Ark of the Covenant is real. Like, or it's still here. And then like, oh, I guess it could be guarded by a pit full of fucking snakes.
Yeah. So, I guess he finds the Ark.
Yeah.
Sends it back up. The evil archaeologist says, I'll be taking this now. and then covers Indiana, like puts the so like we said, he kind of dug this out and then removed a big hatch and then jumped down under, like, I don't know how to explain this in words really well. But like there's a big hatch that he kind of like jumped down into with the snakes and the ark.
Mm-hmm.
And so they recovered that hatch, trapping him in there. And then Indiana Jones, in his wonderful archaeologist ways, wanting to preserve history, decides to take a ginormous Anubis statue and just topple it over and break what has to be a cardboard and foam wall to escape.
It worked.
You can't argue with the results.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, he is. I don't know. And then the next scene after this that's the car chase.
No, actually. First we have to go through the plane scene. I think there's a lot to kind of discuss in the plane scene. So basically they break out of this cardboard pit and they find a plane that's taking off, and then Indiana Jones fights a bunch of people, and then this one guy, big and buff, and he comes out strolling. He's like the typical like Chad in the meme. He takes off his shirt, flexing his muscles, which I have to say, 80s flex scenes are my favorite thing. They're like my secret, my guilty pleasure.
I love that he had a mustache and was bald too.
Yeah.
But he looked like a circus strongman.
Yeah. I mean, take like 80s like scenes where you take your shirt off versus like today. When today like actors are so like malnourished, basically, that like their body is chiseled. Like it's like a David statue.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't even look natural. But these guys are just built. Like, if Thor took off his shirt versus this strong man, I'd put money on the strong man. This guy looked like he could wreck someone.
Yeah, because he had meat on his bones.
Yeah, and he did. He was like Superman. Like, you know that scene in Man of Steel? Have you seen Man of Steel recently? Yes. Where, like, one of, like, what is his name? Zod, like, punches it and it just flies dramatically backwards.
Mm-hmm.
That's what he did to Indiana Jones. He, like, would punch him, and then Indy would, like, wait to react because he didn't really punch him, and then he'd, like, fly backwards.
It was beautiful. It
was so good. And, yeah, that's really what I wanted to talk about from that scene.
And then, okay, I actually have another thing to talk about from that scene. He dies in the airplane propeller. Blood sprays everywhere. This movie's PG.
So much death happens.
Yeah. A strong PG. This would be a strong PG-13 even.
Yeah.
The case is that case could be made that it could be rated R.
I don't think it could be rated R. I don't think it could be rated R.
If they dropped the F word a couple times, it would be.
It'd be rated R in an instant. But I don't think, like, because there's really no cussing. I mean, there's like some parts where he's like, son of a bitch. But
mostly just violence.
Comedic violence that happens so it's so much. And once again, here I am scratching that broken record. But you think this was a lot of violence? If you were at home, have just rewatched this and you think, man, this movie doesn't really slow down ever, just wait till Temple of Doom. I don't even think there's a moment of peace. Not a moment where he just stands. He's always punching and your heart's racing the entire time. Great movie. But then it transitions to probably the longest car chase ever.
It could have been 5 minutes, if not less.
Yeah.
What, 2 minutes probably?
Maybe. It just keeps going.
You could, I think, if someone was going back, you could probably cut an easy 15 minutes off this movie.
Oh, yeah.
Because there are a lot of scenes that are not very good.
Yeah.
You know, I guess, like, hindsight's 20/20, but when this movie came out, people were like, all right, this is it. This is the best movie ever. Because, like, when I was looking up what year it came out, I saw that a lot of people consider it to be, like, one of the best movies ever. Like, it's good.
It's not that good.
No. You know, like, I don't know. I think I just don't have the same attachment to it like some people do.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't know. I don't like have near the attachment to it like I do to Star Wars
True.
or something like that. I still have attachment to it because mostly because I played the Lego Indiana Jones game, but I don't know.
um, but yeah, this card. What I will say about the all the fight scenes in this movie, for how campy they are, they do take a more realistic length than a lot of movies that we watch today, where it's like the movies we watch today are a lot better paced and a lot more satisfying to watch, but some of it goes on really quickly and you don't notice it until like this, where he's really struggling in a lot of these. Like Indiana Jones is always the underdog.
Yeah.
Like every fight he goes up against, he's the underdog. And so he's getting beaten like beaten and beaten and thrown out the window, and then he climbs back up and he gets back in. And then he gets beaten up again and thrown out the side, and then he climbs back in, and eventually he wins the day. And then without question he loses again. It's like this constant take. Like a lot of movies today will have like, all right, he wins his first fight. He gets cocky. He loses his second. He regains his like sense of I'm not the best person in the world, and then that helps him win the third fight. Indiana Jones, it's like one fight scene is Indy wins, Indy loses again, Indy loses again, Indy wins, Indy's thrown out the window, Indy climbs back through the window and keeps fighting.
Indy takes a shot to the arm and then still drives a truck while fighting a guy.
Say what you want, he doesn't give up.
He definitely ain't a quitter.
Yeah.
Yeah, so after the truck scene, there's the boat / submarine scene, which, again, I feel like it didn't really need to be there.
Yeah. Why?
I don't know.
There was a really campy makeout scene between Miriam and Indy where like she was just wiggling all over him, and then he fell asleep.
And, okay, shout out to the people who make this movie, because she has one clear role, and that's the sex symbol.
Yeah.
And that's all she's. This is gonna be taken out of context, so write this on the bingo board. But that's what she's there for in these movies.
Yeah.
Right? It's not like she has that much character development.
Like 0 to none.
So, like, sorry. That's what she's there for. That's the character they wrote.
If you think that this movie was racist, just wait till you see how it treats women.
That should be the tagline.
Yeah. Honestly, it's true. Your first thoughts, you see the natives chasing him, and you're like, wow, this movie kind of racist. And then you're like, whoa, it's really sexist.
Yeah, it's not great. Not great. does not hold the people in great light. So we'll just say it was made long ago and counted as good.
If it was made like, honestly, this is pretty bad of me, to be honest, and not very social justice savvy. But I put like this time period kind of mark where it's like back, like now, if this movie came out, I'd be like, yo,
not cool.
Kind of cringe, bro. This is kind of not what you should be doing. But there hits that like, probably like, if it was made after 2000, I'm kind of like, I'm going to judge this really hard. If it was made like before 2000,
it's the Wild West.
Yeah. It's like, wow, this is kind of not great.
But it's old, so ha!
Yeah, but it's old, so I'm just going to laugh at it and continuously enjoy it.
Yeah.
Because they're so much fun.
So, for the end, confusing. The end ritual, they open up the ark, and then the ghost of dead people come out, and then a laser beam kills all the Nazis.
It kills everyone that has their eyes open. But if you close your eyes, you're safe.
It's awesome.
What? What even happened? How did this movie glance over? Here's, I think, my biggest problem with this movie is it establishes Indy at the beginning of it as like, I don't believe in that heebie-jeebie hocus pocus garbage. But then it proves that God is real in this universe and he is out to murder Nazis. And Indy's just like, yep, okay.
It seems like this movie should be World War II propaganda.
Would you not? I'm going to ask you, if you open the Ark of the Covenant and God sends out ghosts to murder Nazis, at this point, one, your whole life has been shaken to the ground, right? Like, holy shit. God's real. Like, Indy, that's like, what?
Indy needs to become a priest.
Yeah, it's like, at this point, do you not just head to your local Concordia and become a pastor?
You have to.
Like, all right, time for seminary.
He already is a doctor.
I just don't get how that's not his first thought. He doesn't even, like, mention it. He's like, yep, this is supernatural. Moving on.
Yeah.
What? How is that?
He's too busy focusing on the dead Nazis.
Yeah. He's like, yeah. Nice one, God.
Yeah, and then my favorite scene, other than the plane scene with the snake, is the ending, where they take the Ark of the Covenant into a box and put it into this huge storage place. And just, they can make 10 movies all about stuff in the storage place. And you best believe I'm paying to go see them.
That storage place has more emotional intrigue to me than probably anything else in this entire franchise. What's in there? What's in those boxes, dude?
Because if they're hiding the Ark of the Covenant in there, what else are they hiding in there? That's got to be in Area 51, right?
I think it is. Does the fourth one do that, where they're in Area 51?
I haven't seen the fourth one for a long time.
Okay, well, I guess you guys will find out with us if you continue this series. But they go back to that box place in the fourth one, and unsurprisingly, because it's the fourth one, disappointing. They don't really acknowledge the box place. I want an anthology film.
Maybe that's what Indiana Jones 5 is about.
Indiana Jones 5, that storage locker.
How much does rent cost there?
I don't know. You think you could, like... That'd be so funny if, like, people were actually... No, honestly, I think this would be the funniest part of the movie if instead of that big, like, government storage locker, they just, like, kind of open up, like, a, one of, like, those local storage places in, like, a hometown. They just pull up that blue door and shove it in there, and then it, like, flashes forward, and you see the cast of Storage Wars.
And it's like that one spell in Harry Potter that makes, like, bags go on forever.
They open it up, and they're like, holy shit.
They open it up, and you hear, yep.
Oh, man.
That would be perfect. That would be the best ending to any movie ever.
Yeah. So, I can't believe I'm going to say this, but we just finished a plot synopsis.
I'm shocked right now.
Yeah, me too. So I'd like for you now to kind of give me your reasons why you think, out of that discussion that we just had, that this movie has aged well.
So here's what I'm going to say. That movie has zero real meaning behind it, right? Its whole purpose is to entertain. I think because that's its whole purpose, it still succeeds in doing so.
True.
So I think, like, sure, the parts of the movie have not aged well. The sexism, racism, CGI, what lack of there. The explosions, the guy's heads melting off, all of that has aged poorly. But the goal of the movie is to entertain. And boy, does it still do that.
Honestly, that's a hard point to argue. Because, like, yeah, that is the point of the movie, and it does fulfill it. But when I was talking about, like, aging well, I was talking about more the things that you described that didn't age well.
No, those have not aged
like
well.
The rampant sexism, kind of racist,
not aged well.
The special effects are truly abysmal in this movie.
How are they so much worse than Star Wars?
It really takes you out of it. Because you'll be like watching and you're like almost believing it, and then like lightning strikes behind Indiana Jones that is like so clearly fake, and you can like see the green hue of a green screen, and you're like, wow, this really shouldn't have left post-production.
Yeah.
And so I don't know, there's a lot that kind of I feel like didn't age well, but if we're doing age well as this movie still makes me smile, laugh, and I'm excited every time it comes on, then boy did it age well. But I think if you're talking about if the movie has like if like a person, I'm thinking of it like for me, right? My enjoyment is almost 100% nostalgia and just pure chaos because that's what this movie is.
It really is pure chaos.
But like if you took someone who was like born in the year 2040 and you showed him this movie, I don't think that they're going to enjoy it.
No, probably not.
I think they're going to be like, wow, yikes. Glad I wasn't born then.
Devil's advocate. I think that some people, I don't know, probably the average schmo you pull off the street wouldn't enjoy it. Just like we watched The Jazz Singer in History.
I didn't enjoy it.
No, it had a lot of like the same kind of themes that we can look at now, but not great. You know, blackface is in black and white. So, I don't know. I think that with most movies and most parts of culture, they advance usually for the better.
Yeah.
You know? And
well, big picture, probably.
Yeah, big picture. Usually for the better. And I think that's how we'll look at this. Like, ugh, probably shouldn't have treated minorities or women like that. You know?
Yeah. So I think we can settle on maybe.
Perfect.
Did it age well? I don't know. You tell me.
Yeah, I think parts of it did and parts of it did not.
But what did age well? Well, I don't know what I was about to say there. I was gonna try to segue into you should really watch this movie again, but it didn't really fit the age well thing.
No.
You guys at home, it's on Netflix, free to watch. Please, if you want to watch these along with us, we're gonna be releasing these podcasts about them. And I think it would make it a lot more fun if you guys we're not the best at explaining things.
No.
So if you guys got that kind of like, this is what they're talking about, let me watch this real quick. You're not going to be bored. I'll tell you that. Whether you hate it, whether you love it, you're going to be into it.
True.
But, oh, shoot. Dude, we totally didn't even talk about one of the greatest parts of this movie, which is the soundtrack.
Oh, it is an unreal soundtrack.
Yeah, how do we almost forget that? John Williams kills everything he does.
Yeah, he is my dad. I love him.
Oh.
Nah, I had a dream the other night that I played violin.
Okay.
I just feel like, I don't know, John Williams would be the only reason I want to play the violin.
Did he play the violin?
Well, no, but I'd play his music.
Oh, okay. Dude, playing the violin is badass.
There was a girl in my speech class who played the viola.
Mm-hmm.
And she met John Williams.
That's crazy.
I was like, did you marry him? I didn't say that because I didn't know her well enough. But if I did, that's what I would have said. Because I love him.
Yeah, he's a really cool guy. I like him a lot.
He does all the best music.
Yeah, and this music, if nothing else, if you can't get anything else out of this movie, the one thing that probably aged the best out of all of it's the music.
Music rarely ages bad in movies.
That's true.
I love movie soundtracks.
Yeah. I'll tell you what will age bad is these movies now that are kind of replacing the traditional score with the pop songs of the day.
Not great.
Ooh, watching those, like, in the future? Yikes.
No, they're going to be kind of cringe.
I listened to a song, like, 5 years ago, and I'm like, don't really want to do this right now. So... They're really gambling. They're really gambling with the fact that music today will have the same effect as music did. Like when you look back at like old rock.
Yeah.
Where you're like, okay, I can kind of jive to this. I can kind of get down. I can boogie. But like, I don't think people are going to look at that the same way as music now. It's got a lot less heart and a lot more pander to everyone to get top of the charts.
Yeah, and I don't know, there's just so much music now.
Mm-hmm.
Like I find it hard. Like that's kind of how I feel about TV shows and stuff. Like we'll get like the main gist of our generation. Like if you look at all the best stuff that came out, so we're talking like Game of Thrones, The Wire, stuff like that. You're gonna get that stuff. You're not gonna get the trash music. You might get 2 or 3 songs that revolutionized music, but other than that,
yeah, like, I mean, you could have like a really good music soundtrack. You could put Gangnam Style, What Does the Fox Say? But as soon as you start adding like like Baby by Justin Bieber, you're kind of out.
And on that note, let's wrap this bad boy up. Couple big announcements here. Would you like to announce them?
No.
Okay.
So I shake things up. I'd like to announce them because I think Jacob maybe forgot what the announcement are.
No, I know what one of them is. I just figured you would want to do it, and I was offering it to you.
No, I want you to do it, Jacob.
Okay, so big announcement here. Getting t-shirts.
Merch, baby.
For the channel. Yeah. They're gonna be awesome.
Yeah, they look. We got the design back today, or actually a couple days ago, but like we got it finalized today. They look pimp.
Mm-hmm.
There's gonna be. We know that this channel is not large, and we have not hit like a big video yet, or anything. But they're gonna be very limited stock, mostly because me and Jacob want t-shirts.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're gonna do like a fun video for them where we model them, and we'll probably have a couple extras. So if you guys are watching this, keep your eyes open.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
Big things coming. Eyes emoji, 100 emoji.
First generation roundtable much. You're not gonna want to miss it.
No, it's beautiful.
And it's actually really pretty cheap. So I mean,
yeah,
it's not like a big investment. I saw a YouTuber merch the other day that was $40 a t-shirt, dude. I was all in for it. It was a really cool design. I'm not gonna lie. It wasn't like YouTube channel. It was like YouTuber branded. Looked great, but $45 for a t-shirt? Way too much.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah, so we're not gonna do you guys that dirty.
Even though it would be cool because we'd get money in our pocket.
That's fair.
Just kidding. Just didn't say that. Did not say that. Now that the video's over, why don't you go ahead and check out our links below. We've got Twitter and Instagram. We've got a Discord. And if you're listening on YouTube, you can head over to your favorite podcast apps.
Apple Podcast.
Yeah, mostly Apple Podcasts. We want reviews.
We want reviews. We're like little greedy gremlins.
That want reviews
We
instead
want
of
those,
gold.
We want those 5 stars, baby.
Yeah, so go ahead and do that. And we'll see you next time.
Yeah. See you guys.
Goodbye.